final. This is Judge Judy.
The following events follow a reflection of the Great Depression and early World War II times recorded in 1941 by William Faulkner through his short story, The Tall Men. The required selective service sign-up in the story was a large issue in early 1940s America as they prepared for another Great War. The indignation of the McCallum family against the draft and the AAA reveals the resentment some had towards governmental programs, especially farmers. Now for Judge Judy.
Judge, the next case is of the McCallum boys, who refused the one thing the threatened government asked of them in return, which is to put their names down on a selective service list.
In 1940, FDR signed the Selective Service Act that required men between the age of 21 and 30 to register with their local draft boards. This was the first time peace conscription in the U.S. So these poor farmer boys, Lucius and Ains, were required to put their names in draft for war and are refusing.
These people who lie about and conceal the ownership of land and property in order to hold relief jobs, who make false statements to get seed loans, are not even willing to sign a draft even after all the federal government has done for them. FDR has instated the AAA and WPA and dozens of other programs designed to help alleviate farmers' limited incomes, yet these simple country folks can't recognize the gift they've been given.
Look, Mr. Pearson, my boys and I don't want the government getting involved in our farming. We don't want the AAA telling us we're overproducing cotton and paying us off. If we make too much, we make too much, and that's our problem, not the government's. I lost my leg busting my butt to make a living, but maybe it's just the whiskey talking now.
Enough of your personification, Mr. McCallum. You are talking, not the whiskey. I can understand the pain you have experienced from your leg injury. However, drowning out your pain through whiskey has had about as much impact on your leg as relief programs from the government have had on fixing the Great Depression. Bring the first witness to the stand. Welcome, Dr. Schofield.
I was taking care of Buddy one day after his accident when I saw his exposed, bloody, mangled leg. And the investigator was there too, and he turned sick.
I understand the harsh working conditions and difficulties of Southern farmers during the Great Depression. The graphic imagery in Buddy's loss of leg emphasizes how costly the Great Depression has been for all people and how no one will be the same after it. The reduced demand for cotton led to many instances of bankruptcy and foreclosure of farms, leaving farmers with no income or home. But doctor, we don't need to picture that gruesome image in our court.
Judge, you're bottom one with these country people, just like the marshal who acquired sloth and unreliability merely by entering the house. I hate using such an idiom and a hyperbole, but they are the best way to reveal my frustration with the obvious corruption within your court and within the power of the marshal. The local governments are no longer trustworthy in following the rules of the federal government. As a federal investigator, I take honor and pride in my job in executing FDR's policies. You should too, but you and the marshal seem to have bias towards the rebellious people.
Stop with your preconceptions, Mr. Pearson. These men are honorable men, whether they signed for the draft or not. The McCallum boys' father, Buddy here, was a World War I vet and has encouraged his sons to enlist in the 6th Infantry, an infantry called the Red Star, which participated heavily in the crucial battle of the Argonne Offensive and many other moments in World War I. I wonder about the bias of the marshal, so we will hear from him next. Marshal Gunbolt, come to the stand.
The McCallum boys should not be punished for their actions. We have come to be like critters that doctor folks might have created in laboratories, that might have learned to slip their bones and guts and still live, still be kept alive and definite. We have slipped our backbone. We have decided a man don't need a backbone anymore. I use this figurative language to prove how the government has emphasized rules and regulations to the point that they ignore welfare of the people. Just as a person cannot survive without a backbone, the government cannot survive without the voice of the people.
How does this figurative language connect to the Great Depression? Please continue.
The U.S. democracy cannot survive with FDR's rejection of individual desires like that of the McCallum families. FDR failed to respect that some families didn't want interference of the government, and the McCallums are recognized as one of those families, who decided they would rather suffer a personal loss than have the government interfere in their trade.
I recognize any preconception of the criminal status of your family was wrong, because a family can dedicate much towards the American cause and still be upstanding citizens without abiding by government rules. As long as the boys enter the forces now, I will be on my way without criminal charges.
The verdict. The boys shall enter the draft with no punishment, and the investigator will go home. The reflection of the case of the McCallum boys is closed.